Idol anime, the window into the Japanese anime and music industry like nothing seen elsewhere. Idol anime are typically about the protagonist working their best perfecting their talents to become a successful idol, which in the end, they typically do. But this isn't always the case. What if the idol isn't successful in the industry and is crashing? This occurred with Watanabe 2016 light novel, Girlish Number. Today I will be talking about the highs and lows of the anime adaptation of said manga. Throughout this video, I will try my best to keep this video spoiler free at the beginning, then closer to the end there will be a spoiler zone along with my final verdict. If you do not want any spoilers, make sure to use the timestamps in the description or on the pinned comment down below. To begin, I wanted to talk about some of the history behind Girlish Number, so you could get a feel of it. Girlish Number was originally written by Watanabe and was first released as a light novel on January 30, 2016, which would eventually come to an end in 2017. Later on, the light novel would release two spin-offs by the names Girlish Number, Momoka Memorial, and Girlish Number Shura. Both of these stories don't really contribute much to the overall story of Girlish Number, but can still be a fun read. On October 7, 2016, Watare's novel was adapted by the anime studio Dial-Media to produce an anime series of the same name. Girlish Number aired for 12 episodes and had mediocre feedback, resulting in a grad score of 6.88 on MAL. Was this score deserved? You'll find out very soon. To begin with the actual talk about the anime, I decided that I should probably begin with the characters to avoid confusion in later segments of the video. Girlish Number's main cast features Chitose Karasuma, Koto Katakura, Kazuhashi Basaki, Momoka Sanu, and Ie Kugayama. Chitose Karasuma is considered the lead of Girlish Number. She is a college student hoping to make it as an idol. In fact, most of these characters are college students. Chitose is known for her bratty personality and with amazing expressions. She is also known for her lazy, sloth-like personality, making her not really wanting to do any work. Will this come back to bite her? Koto Katakura is the oldest out of all the characters at the age of 26. Koto is known as being the otaku of the group and is also known for speaking in a regional dialect. Ie Kugayama is fairly new to the industry. Similarly to Chitose, she is known for being far too kind to the point where people say her words hold no weight. Momoka and Kazuha are known as the veterans of the group. They both are already famous idols who just happen to end up working on the same project as the other three members of the main cast. I really like the dynamics of the characters as they couldn't be any more different. This variety causes them to run into various arguments, forcing development on some characters, but I won't talk about how until the spoiler segment. The next essential thing to this anime is its music and animation. I decided to combine the two of them as it's probably the part I have the least to talk about. To begin, the anime adaptation chose to take a softer approach to its style, allowing some of the best facial expressions to do along with the comedy within the series. Compared to the manga or a light novel, the anime seems to look completely different compared to its source material. Another thing to mention is just how different the characters look inside of the anime adaptation. I mean, just look at manga Chitose versus anime Chitose. As for the music of Girlish Number, considering it's an idol anime, you would assume the music is on point, right? Well, you are absolutely correct. The anime adaptation features 6 unique songs featured throughout its 12 episodes, the most prominent being its opening, Bloom, and its ending, Ima wa Mijikashi Yumi Miyo Otome. Personally, I believe the opening for Girlish Number couldn't be any more perfect. The opening, Bloom, is as the title entails, blooming. The song is about wanting to be number one, sprouting the seeds of their career, hoping it will one day bloom into a famous idol. I guess you could say the same thing about my YouTube channel, hee. All in all, I believe Girlish Number did have solid animation and music. The The story of Girlish Number is about Chitose Karasuma, a college student aspiring to be an idol. The Wikipedia description defines it as college student Chitose Karasuma is determined not to do boring things as she enters the adult world. To this end, this bad-mannered beauty barges into a facility that trains would-be voice actors and actresses, somehow landing a job at Number One Produce, a seiyuu agency managed by her older brother, Gojo. In Chitose's mind, she's poised for greatness, but finds herself at a loss when she continues to only get minor roles. Essentially, Chitose is very lazy and self-centered, giving no care to the people around her. Since she is so lazy, she barely makes it in the industry, relying on her brother to do most of the work. But will this all change? Another thing to mention is that Chitose isn't really a singing idol, she's actually a voice actor, working in the anime industry. The story does take some breaks from Chitose to develop other members of the main cast, but I guess it isn't essential for a story about Chitose. Alright, time to get to the meat of the video, the story with spoilers. If you don't wish to have any spoilers, please go to the time on screen. This is your one and only warning to avoid any spoilers. Alright, so for those who are still here, let's get started. The story begins with Chitose's debut as a seiyuu. If I was to be brutally honest, this first part wasn't really my favorite, as I thought it was a little bit bland to the point where I almost dropped the whole series. Not too soon after, we are first introduced to Chitose's bratty personality, arguing with her brother and complaining about the roles he gets for her. Eventually, Chitose called her lucky break. She managed to get a role of a main cast as the main heroine, but there was a twist. This was a harem anime, so there were multiple main heroines, so in reality, Chitose wasn't all that special. The other girls of this harem anime were all the girls mentioned within the characters section. In the next episode, we get even more of a glimpse at Chitose's bratty personality. She starts flexing her main role to other rookie voice actors, even though we all know her role isn't special. The main purpose of the episode was to let us get well acquainted with all the characters while also showing us the quality of the anime they're working on, which, to put it simply, is terrible. So at this point we know that even though Chitose has a main role, it's one for a low-budget harem anime. In episode 3 the recording for the anime starts, which is when the laziness of Chitose show. Since Chitose put no effort into practicing for the recordings, her acting for them was absolutely horrendous. In this episode, we see Chitose realize how her laziness has affected her, causing her to reach out to her colleague, Momoka, to learn how to properly voice act. As of episode 4, the budget for the anime really began to show. They weren't on time with their production, leaving their fans disappointed. Also in this episode, the anime finally did debut, which ended up having a terrible launch. People hated it. Of course, at the end of the day all she cared about was if she lost any followers over it. Also, can be beat Chitose in follower count, thank you. As of episode 5, Chitose's greed began to show. The anime was started to get sales and all Chitose cared about was her paycheck. Meanwhile, everyone was concerned about the sales of the series. All Chitose cared about was stuffing her face, showing the gluttonous side of Chitose. The end of this episode gave Chitose exactly what was coming for her, a cyber troll attack exposing her for what she really is. The next episode shows how Chitose is still traumatized by her cyber attack to the point where she was too afraid to stare at a camera, although she brushed it off fairly easily. The other important plot in this episode was showing us how everyone was finding new jobs in the industry. Meanwhile, Chitose is still slacking, with no new jobs. Episodes 7 and 8 are mostly development for Suzuka and Momoka, so for the sake of this review I'm gonna brush over it, but these were still some solid episodes. One thing I have failed to mention prior to now was that throughout the past 8 episodes, Chitose was constantly reminded that if she keeps on being lazy, she would end up getting replaced in the industry as she was easily replaceable. This occurred when Nanami was added to the mix. Nanami was cute, kind, dedicated, essentially everything Chitose wasn't. Nanami began to jump in popularity, eventually taking some of Chitose's roles, and eventually even Chitose's manager. Episode 10 is about Chitose realizing the mistakes she's made along the way, causing her to become depressed. This goes on throughout episode 11, but in the process we learn that all the idols were dependent on Chitose's charismatic personality the whole time. It wasn't until Chitose's brother came to cheer her up that she returned to the industry. The final episode, episode 12, is about Chitose's huge turning point. Chitose decided to change in order to stay in the industry so her seed could bloom. In this episode, Chitose said something I will never forget. Essentially, Chitose says she acknowledges that she's horrible, easily replaced, and bratty, but even so, she loves the industry and will give it her all no matter what. I can really relate to this. As a small YouTuber, I could easily be replaced by essentially anyone with a bigger subscriber count, but even so, I want to put all my effort into the best videos for you guys so that I can show my passion for this. The anime has a semi-happy ending as the anime they were working on managed to just barely make enough money to produce a second season.
そっか、大人気声優だったか。ガハハハ。
The anime adaptation of Girlish Number seemed so different from its source material, but I would certainly say this was for the best. The anime redesigns I believe are far better than the source materials, making the anime even better. Although the story did have its ups and downs, but the quality of the ups makes up for the downs the anime went through. Some of the said ups can get really emotional, improving the watch of Girlish Number. As said earlier in the video, the music and animation are on point for the direction the anime was going. I don't really see a way it could be improved one. The vibrant colors the anime has along with the amazing soundtrack, there is just no way it could get any better. All things considered, I decided to give Girlish Number a 9 out of 10. The only real reason the anime didn't get a 10/10 was because there are some issues with the story, but nonetheless, this is an amazing anime and you should watch it too. What do you think about Girlish Number? If you haven't seen it already, did I convince you to watch it? Let me know in the comments down below. If you liked the review or thought it was insightful, please consider liking the video or subscribing since it really helps me out a lot. I'm thinking at some point I'm going to start hosting polls for the next anime I review, so make sure you don't miss out on them. You guys know you mean the world to me and I love and appreciate all of you. And as always, until next time, bye. 秘密秘密あのね秘密